Welcome to Seeing Dead People, the mystery storytelling podcast with a clairvoyant twist. We end every episode with Darcy answering a question from a listener about her psychic process. Whatever is going on in her head, I think it's so cool and astonishing. Okay, well, thanks, Darcy. Now, before I let you go, can I ask you one of our popular listeners' questions?
Absolutely.
Hey, great. Now, this, again, is one of my own, because I just find this so fascinating. I've mentioned this before, but I thought putting it out as a question to you would be really revealing. So I'll preface my question by saying, as you know, I greatly enjoy these chats and the otherworldly experiences with you. For me, they're entertaining, they're fascinating, and they're often hair-raising. But I have to admit, really feel the people or their encounters like you do. No matter how much I try, I just don't. But you do, Darcy. So how do you handle the emotional turmoil you experience during our shows? You come into the show so cheerfully, you accept our journey, yet you must have a tough time sometimes. So I wondered if you wouldn't mind telling us more about that.
I think I'm able to compartmentalize everything. So I realize the past is the past, and I can't change what happened. But looking at it, I'm able to also, because I've been doing this so long, I'm able to make that disconnection from the emotional aspect. Doesn't mean I still don't get upset and everything, but I don't allow it to entrap me in that emotion.
Okay.
And if I have to, I do dishes after we've talked, or now we've got a treadmill in the house, so I'll use the treadmill. And a lot of times I eat chocolate.
That I like.
Yeah, chocolate grounds me.
Do you ever feel dread the day we're going to talk? Do you ever feel anxious that we're going to be talking?
I'm always looking forward to it. I'm always curious what you pick.
Oh, okay.
It's sort of, for me, it's like when I go into a reading, okay, I know that there's certain things people are looking for in the reading. And every reading's different. But when we do this is totally different. I'm not reading for someone. I'm looking for something to give a little validity to the past, and also to, if hopefully, clear someone's name if they've been accused of something and it's like, really? No, they didn't do it.
Yep.
You know? Or else to say, hey, this is the person they're supposed to be looking for. And I realize I can be 100% wrong, but because I rely on spirit to give me those answers, I rely on the people we're talking about and anyone else who wants to chime in at the time. I really trust what they're saying to me.
Wow. That's so cool. But I just can't imagine. We've discussed some pretty serious cases, some pretty horrific cases. The little girls, the Chicago Bobby Soxers, who were terribly attacked and assaulted. Jack the Ripper doing exactly as his name implies, tearing women apart. You're seeing that. You're actually feeling sometimes what those people are experiencing. You're talking to them. I just find I feel sometimes kind of badly that I'm putting you into this position.
I think the fact that I grew up seeing things that most people can't.
Mm-hmm.
And I have siblings that if it does bother me, I can talk to them. And I have my gran who's dead, and if it really bothers me, I talk to her. But the thing is that I realize that for me, I have to always segregate, because when I first started looking for missing people, I either became the perpetrator or the victim. And I realized that wasn't good for my soul. So I had to learn how to take the ego out of the equation, step to the side, and just let the ego, or whichever else is out there, do the work and know that it wasn't going to affect me.
So could you expand a bit on that last statement, because that's really, really unusual.
Which part? Like, we have that id, the ego, and I always think of that movie, Me, Myself, and Irene.
Yeah.
Okay. So instead of being myself, I become someone else as I do this.
Mm-hmm.
I allow that other energy to absorb the hurt, the pain, and everything, so myself doesn't get affected by it.
Okay, and when you're saying you're allowing that other self or other entity to absorb the pain, is that one of your spirit guides, or is it the individual who's involved in the storytelling, in the actual story itself? Like, Jack the Ripper himself. Are you letting Jack the Ripper shoving back that terrible hatred and anger, pushing it back to Jack, or are you pushing it onto a spirit guide?
Well, I don't push it onto a spirit guide. I have a spirit guide who absorbs it.
Okay.
Because then he can disperse that energy into the universe. But to push it back at Jack, yes, but I don't want Jack to come back, so I let my spirit guide take that energy and disperse it into the universe.
And how did you come to the understanding that you could do that?
That's a good question. It was a case I was working on. I'm not at liberty to talk about it, but
okay.
I realized that it had such a profound effect on me that at one point I had to have my daughter go live with my cousin for a day so I could get rid of the feeling.
Really? So you really did get terribly disturbed by it?
Oh, at that point I didn't know enough about my own gift to understand what was happening. So I had to learn really fast. I had no one at that time. I had no connection to family at that time, or even friends who did the same thing I did. So I had to learn fast.
Well, I'm very glad you did, because I can't even imagine how you did it, much less, as you say, you're got this very special gift. You're one of a very unique individual. So it's not a lot of people, I'm sure, that you can go, well, what do you do in this case?
Yeah, and a lot of, strange as it sounds, a lot of other psychic mediums are so territorial and everything, they don't even want to tell you what they do. What they would do.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's really amazing. I'm always flabbergasted by the fact people like myself, if you talk to them, they won't divulge how they do things or how they go about protecting themselves. I'm like an open book. You ask me a question, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing.
Because I think it's important for people to understand that energy can affect us. And if we're not prepared for that energy, it can destroy us. And so I've had to learn to be prepared, because I have no intentions of anyone's energy destroying me from the past, the present, or the future.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and I am relieved, I have to say, that you're okay with, taking on the storylines that we grapple with, and you're safe. I never want you to not be safe.
No, I'm safe. I'm good.
Okay. Well, that's a great relief. Thank you. Well, it's such an interesting life you lead in this regard, Darcy. It's, as I've said many times, it blows me away, and I feel so blessed to be your friend and to participate with you in these, our little intrigue into seeing dead people. I find it a real joy. We hope you've enjoyed listening to Seeing Dead People. Whatever's going on in Darcy's head, I think is so cool and astonishing. We'd love to hear from you with questions for Darcy about her psychic process, or suggestions for other mystifying situations you would like us to investigate. So please, shoot us an email to info@radiosidney.ca with Seeing Dead People in the subject line. New episodes of Seeing Dead People will emerge on the first Saturday of every month, and will also be available every Saturday night at 8 p.m. and Sunday morning at 10 a.m., both Pacific Standard Time. Seeing Dead People will also be available as a downloadable podcast online at radiosidney.ca for your convenience. Cool news! Seeing Dead People is now a podcast on YouTube. Just search for Nicola Furlong Mysteries, and you will find 3 podcasts of videos dedicated to Seeing Dead People. One for our actual complete episodes, another for Darcy's fascinating answers to our listeners' questions about her psychic process, and a third with teasers highlighting each episode. Thanks so much for listening to Seeing Dead People. I really dig researching, writing, and communicating with Darcy and her otherworldly contacts. So until the next time, remember, seeing dead people is a blast with Goosebumps Guaranteed.
This has been a program of Radio Sydney.